So we are live. We're live from Juneau in the Capitol. I'm Shelley Hughes, Senator for District F, and we are on the ground floor. The Capitol building right now is actually closed to the public in order to mitigate the COVID-19 contagion. And so we want to make sure we're connecting with you. I think, and I've got here with me today Dawson, who is going to help facilitate and moderate what's going on. And one of the things we put in the announcement today was that we want to stay connected and also be proactive as far as social distancing, right? So this Facebook Live actually allows us to communicate with you, and Dawson's going to be reading the comments. And we know a lot, right now, we ask you to share the video so we get more people on, and please like it as well. You know, and Dawson's going to share a few words about how we might run this, might be a little bit better, because sometimes people really get aggravated when we don't respond to questions. And I just want to say, last time what happened is Dawson could only see a few questions at a time, and he could not scroll back and see ones that he missed. I think we're going to be able to do that a little bit better, but we are limited in time. And we can't always get to everything that everybody wants to talk to, but we're going to do our best. So let's practice a little kindness. That's one thing during this time, to be kind and encouraging. And so let's practice that during this Facebook Live. So Dawson, did you want to make a few little comments before we get going?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. As the Senator said, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping here. So tonight, we are going to try to get to everybody's questions. But we do want to avoid any one person monopolizing on the conversation. We also want to avoid retreading topics too much. I mean, we're definitely going to try to answer your questions, and I know people are tuning in at different times, so we're going to need to go back and forth every now and then. But for the most part, we're going to try to get as many different perspectives as we can tonight.
Yeah, and touch on different topics. So, and a lot of people join late, and so they don't realize we've already talked about things. Of course, if you're joining late, you're not even going to hear me say that. But I know that it's all over the news, and everyone's talking about containing, being proactive as far as COVID-19, and we are practicing that as well. It is something I was thinking about this weekend, because you can look at the data regarding the regular seasonal flu, and we went over that last time, and I kind of did an update as far as that goes, but and I should have done 2 copies, Lisa, so you had one to hold up, but can you see? I won't be able to see it if I hand it to you, so I can't really talk about it. So I'll read it first, and then she'll hang it up and hold it up, and then we'll get a picture of it and put it in the comments. But just in comparison to seasonal flu, annually, there are about 1 billion cases of seasonal flu every year, and worldwide, roughly about 500,000 people die from the seasonal flu. So that, just keeping that in perspective, and zoom in to the United States. Every year, seasonal flu, about anywhere, depending if it's a high year or low year, is 9 million to 45 million will get the seasonal flu right here in the United States. And there will be anywhere from about 12,000 to 61,000 deaths from seasonal flu. So that's just a good thing to keep in mind. We all are learning more and more, and things are changing every day. We know this is more contagious. And I'm not a medical expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be, and I refer you to the Department of Health and Social Services here at the state level. Commissioner Crum, Dr. Ann Zink, our Chief Medical Officer, the Governor's Office have been doing a really good job keeping us up to date as far as what's happening here. And of course, you can go to the CDC site, and you can turn on any television channel too, but make sure you're looking at credible sources to get your information. But in comparison to those big numbers, the billion, gosh, so it's funny how the word dollar comes after the word billion, just kind of automatically. A billion people every year get the seasonal flu, and right now we are at, so far, we have about the latest, around 182,000 worldwide have been infected right now by the COVID virus. And in the U.S., less than 3,500. And then of deaths, it's about under 7,200, and in the U.S. about 68. So I will hand this to Lisa so she can hold. Here, I'll let you have that sheet behind it, and she can hold it up. But you know, being safe rather than sorry is what this is about, and being proactive and staying calm and not panicking. And you know, I'd love to look at on the bright side. That's just a really important. And those of you who are optimists, one of your gifts can be to cheer other people that might be worrying, because fear and worry doesn't accomplish anything. In fact, fear and worry compromise your immune system. So it's really important to focus on things that are positive. And one of the things that is a positive exercise to do is to think about what you're thankful for. And another thing is incorporate into your daily routine some humor. That was one of the things when I victoriously fought the cancer battle a few days. I intentionally made sure I was looking at, I would watch various comedians. I was very intentional about incorporating humor into my day. So I encourage you, Alaskans, Americans, to do that. Incorporate humor, be thankful, and encourage one another. So with that, we probably ought to be saying hello to some folks that have joined us. Dawson, you want to let us know who's online?
Lynn McCabe is watching.
Hey, Lynn.
Buddy Witt is watching.
Oh, Buddy. Buddy's checking up on us. He'll critique us afterwards. Good deal.
D. Coranda says good evening.
Hey, D.
Plitter Richard shared the post.
Hey, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
Bill Booth is watching.
Hi, Bill.
Alex McDonald.
Alex, hello. Good evening.
Larry Fancer.
Hi, Larry.
And we do have a quick question. So
sure, go for it.
Ted Anderson has just asked if the one presumptive positive COVID-19 case, the cargo pilot, if that was confirmed by the CDC. And the last time I was on the CDC website, Alaska was marked as a contaminated place with between 1 to 5. So I believe the CDC has flagged that case as being a COVID-19.
COVID-19. Yeah, and one of the things about that too, which is interesting, is that was not spread from the within the community. That was imported in. I can't remember what word they're using that when it comes in from the outside, but yeah. So I did want to mention, you maybe were busy all day, but I'm sure you all have heard the news. The recommendation is to try to avoid gatherings of more than 10 people, and to try to be 6 feet away from others. We had a education committee meeting joint with the House today, and they set us up trying to get us as close to 6 feet apart. And as I said earlier, right now the Capitol is not open to the public, but we do everything electronically, and that's one of the important things, is to keep communicating with us. There are extra lines going to be available for calling into hearings. Of course, you can watch the live streams, and gavel to gavel. If they're not actually showing it live on TV, we still have built-in cameras in each of the committee rooms that are recording. And if you go to Alaska State Legislature, Google that. There's a place where you can, what does it say, live meetings, right? There's a tab that says live meetings. You can click on it, and you can just watch on your computer screen what's going on. So we want to make sure, and one of the things is, it's important that we here don't make any rash decisions under the present circumstances as far as the budget and such, that we do something that we can't undo in a rush. So it's really important that we're making good policy here. So, but there is definitely an increased pressure to get things done. And I should mention, was it Friday? We did pass a bill that provided over $4 million in state dollars to the Department of Health and Social Services, and then also it allowed the state to accept federal funds, and with open-ended authority to use those. And I just wanted to tell you really quickly what that $4 million is going for. The $4 million that we passed, it was put into the mental health budget. It would provide the Division of Public Health with 5 new public health nurses, 3 nurse epidemiologists, 1 microbiologist in Fairbanks to assist with lab testing, and 1 emergency manager to assist in the Emergency Operations Center. So that was the first thing we did. We also passed a bill that allows telehealth for insurance to cover telehealth. And as you know, you've probably heard that folks are being encouraged not to show up at the clinic or the hospital door, but first to call your provider. And so you probably will see an increased use maybe in telehealth through all of this. We're also monitoring, we were just looking, and maybe somebody's seen it, but I know in different areas they're starting drive-through testing, and we were trying to figure out what the latest is in Alaska regarding that. We did not find that information right before we went live, but we're watching that so we can get that word out. So if you've heard anything about that, I know nationally we've heard that Walmart and Target and was it Walgreens, some of the stores are going to start making that available. So we're waiting to see where and when that gets ramped up here in our state, and we'll be letting you know about that. So anyway, everybody breathe deep. This is a great time with kids not in school. I'm sure the kids are pretty jazzed about getting some time off, but it's a great time you building relationships with people that you love and getting to spend more time with family. And I want to mention too, there's a new Facebook page that I want to find out more, and I'm going to be actually having a phone call hopefully soon. I don't know if it got set up, but the Facebook page is called Seniors of Palmer Support Group, and it is for us, those in the community, to be able to pitch in and help our seniors who may need help, getting what they need, or in whatever ways that we can help out. So I just thought I'd mention Seniors of Palmer Support Group. I have joined that page, and I hope to find out more about it, but I think it's a great idea. Imran Chaudhry, hopefully I'm not butchering his name, is on the Palmer City Council, has set it up, and he's been in touch with the Palmer Senior Center CEO. So we have any more people that have joined or any questions?
So Mary Kate Johnston joined. Penny Mosher.
Hey Penny, welcome this evening.
There's a bit of discussion about the closure on the Canadian border. To my knowledge right now, Canadian border is closed to non-Canadian citizens, but U.S. citizens are allowed through. I believe that's the current situation going on there. There's a bit of discussion going on about that in there.
Okay.
Got a few others here. Steph Wright joined.
Hi, Steph.
Jess Sumner.
Hey, Jess.
And Jake Sloan.
Thank you. And Jake, good to have everyone joining us. It's going to be more important, I think, than ever for you to share this video, because it's really important now that the Capitol building is closed that you're connected to what's going on in here. And this is one of the avenues. So like the video, share it, please. And are there any more comments or questions regarding COVID-19 before we move on to something else?
We do have a comment sort of related from Alex McDonald. You guys should focus on the budget and gavel out. It's a sentiment that's been around.
Yeah, and there's definitely discussion of that. And I mentioned it's important that we don't rush and do something incorrectly. If we have to have a temporary stopgap and recess and then go back and do things, we will do that. If we can get it all done quickly in a condensed amount of time, that would be fabulous. Of course, I think that's what we'd all like to do. I want to mention one other thing regarding the coronavirus, and that is, you probably heard, I think it was New York, closing restaurants and things, and Mayor Berkowitz, his announcement in Anchorage, which I being proactive is good. I'm not sure about the timing of that, but I do want to say that one way we can support local businesses is to go online and, for instance, restaurants that might be closed, you could support a restaurant by buying a gift card online, kind of pay it forward and help them out. You know, the business, as far as people walking in the door, will be down, and we'll be looking here at what we may need to do. Do you happen to know what happened with, and maybe somebody, because I haven't been watching national, what was happening as far as the bill that passed the House in Washington, D.C., as far as whether the Senate passed it. I was listening to the news this morning, but it hadn't passed yet. Does anybody know if it passed? Because it's going to provide a couple weeks pay and such. And there's discussion here as far as what we can do. As there's been a heated debate, you know, for how many years about the PFD, but I'm thinking what a better time for people to have those kind of funds, because there will be some hardships. And so we want to make sure that perhaps restaurant workers who aren't being able to wait tables and get tips and things, they might need a little extra. So those kind of folks, as different jobs are suspended, it's going to affect people's pay. So that PFD could be really helpful. There's been a little bit of talk, you know, at the federal level about some kind of stimulus. At the state, we may have some kind of discussion along those lines as well. These are unusual times, unusual circumstances, and we're going to be really thinking about how we best can get through this. We know we're strong, we know we're resilient, but there may be some things that from your state capital that we can do to try to help get us through it a little bit better. So those are conversations we will be having.
Do you want to keep on this topic, or do you want to?
No, you. I think unless there's somebody who has a comment you want to read about it, or a question that.
Well, so here's one from Linda Craney. Hi, Shelley. For those families whose income has been affected and have children, is the way for internet companies to forego their fees while the kids are out of school? I know this has come up too with a lot of college students who have now been moved to all online classes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of discussion about how internet rates are really affecting. I don't know if there's anything we have right now about that.
And I actually, I don't know if anybody's looking at that. One of the things I was thinking is, you know, don't cry over spilt milk, of course, but I was just thinking, we've had our virtual education bill now. This is the third year or fourth year, and we would be in better shape had that passed, because we would be set up a little bit better across the state for a more of a distance delivery for our high school students right now. And so high school students, that's something you're probably wondering, whether you're a high school student, or if you're a high school student listening, or college, you know, what's going to happen with graduations? Will they be held later? Maybe. But those are momentous occasions for people, and I know everyone's having to sacrifice a little bit and realize that things this year may be a little bit different, or a lot of bit different, actually.
Okay. And then, do you want me to come back around on this? Do you want to keep going? You. By the way, Dawson he's from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. He is Awesome Dawson. That's my new nickname for him. He's an intern, but he has really been functioning as an aide. He's carrying a couple bills, and so that he's new down here, and he's doing really well. But you just kind of, just like Buddy does, kind of figure out where we should go and when it's time to. Well, then let's
go for it.
While we're still in there, maybe we can talk about, because the topic has been coming up a lot. I see a lot of people posting about it, which is the topic of the full PFD in relation to sort of the economic crisis that this virus is bringing to the state.
Right, which I mentioned that this would be a helpful time for people to have it, which is something I want to point out to you, because there is a bill that is going to be up on our list, and you might want to think about weighing in on this one, because it is a constitutional amendment that would take the earnings reserve, put it into the corpus, so it'd be hands off. But by doing that, it would make the PFD statute null and void, because the PFD formula statute is based on earnings reserve. So if that constitutional amendment were to happen, their earnings reserve would be no more. It would be inside the corpus. And so That is going to be, actually, are these public hearings or are these just when they're hearing the bill?
Public testimony.
Okay, so Tuesday at 3 o'clock in State Affairs, that is HJR 31, and it's a constitutional amendment that would drastically change the permanent fund and the earnings reserves in the PFD as we know it. So that's HJR 31. Tuesday at 3 o'clock, it's going to be heard by the House State Affairs. And then Wednesday, the very next day, if it's moved out, it will be heard in House Judiciary. So 3 o'clock Tuesday, 1 o'clock Wednesday, there will be extra lines available, but you might want to weigh in on that because we have to be careful about what we do and not, again, it's important that things are properly vetted and not rushed. Also, while we're talking about bills, another one that might interest you is a lottery bill. It's sponsored by Senate Rules, SB 188. Have you guys looked up that bill? Lottery, Public Corporation Fund, Unlawful Sale, sponsored by Senate Rules. Do you know what that? I haven't actually read that. It's SB 188. It's up Tuesday at 3:30. So you've got the PFD is up Tuesday at 3, and this one's up at 3:30. So you might want to look that one up. And also the operating budget is going to be up on the Senate side. Some of you testified in the House side. On the Senate side, it's going to be up on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So a lot happening. A lot happening Tuesday and Wednesday with bills. So we will post all these so you will have them. And then there's another one that is one that I have signed on to. It's sponsored by Senator Wielechowski, and I've signed on to it as well as Senator Kawasaki, Senator Showard, Senator Gray Jackson. And it would put an improved version of the state checkbook online and allow a lot more transparency. It'd be much more user friendly. Ohio has it, and we've talked a little bit to the administration about if it would be too burdensome, and actually they said it would not be, and that it is something that they will not be opposing. So it seemed like it was good public information for folks to know. So we have
I think we can come back around. Maybe we should do a quick update on our current legislation and then sort of finish it off with.
Hey, and do you have the phone numbers for
Yep.
the public hearing? Let's hold that up too, because we just rattled off opportunities for public hearing, but we forgot to give you the phone numbers, which we will also be posting. And you can see those there, so I won't read them out loud. But again, there's a lottery bill up Tuesday at 3:30. The constitutional amendment folding the earnings into the corpus, that's HJR 31. It's up Tuesday at 3, Wednesday at 1, possibly. And then the budget itself is up in the Senate Finance Wednesday at 1. And the checkbook is up Thursday at 3:30. So lots of opportunity for you to weigh in.
Okay, before we move on to the next little bit, just want to say Rick Williams is watching.
Rick?
Rick Williams.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for joining us.
Kelly Toth.
Hi, Kelly.
And Cindy Todd.
Hi, Cindy.
Kevin McCabe.
Hey, Kevin. Hope everyone's hanging in there. Everybody doing okay? You guys all, how about some thumbs up? Is everybody keeping a great attitude up? Nobody's panicking, right? I need to know that my friends back home are not panicking. We're not panicking here in Juneau. We're remaining calm. We know Alaskans are strong. We are going to get through this. We are going to get through it.
All right, so we can just move on quick, and I bet we can burn through the current legislation pretty fast. So,
Okay.
SJR 13, you got anything you want to say about that?
SJR 13 is the constitutional amendment relating to abortion. Have we had 4 hearings now?
Yes.
We had some public testimony today.
Mm-hmm.
It will not be up on Wednesday. It will be heard again on Friday, I believe. I think that's that's subject to change. But it's been a very, very interesting discussion And a lot of the opposition thinks we are removing a woman's right to an abortion. It basically would allow the people of Alaska, either through their elected officials or themselves through a voter initiative, to decide what kind of policy we want in our state, rather than a handful of people in black robes, which is we have there are states and across the political spectrum, blue states that are able to write laws and keep them on the books regarding abortion, whether a minor needs the consent of her parent before getting an abortion, or having to do with how late term an abortion, or it is permitted. And we haven't been successful. We've written laws. There's been laws written in this building, but every single one of them has been overturned. So this would put it's really a separation of powers bill in many ways, because we pulled up some great quotes actually by judges. They almost sound like they were by lawmakers, because it was basically there was one quote from Judge Kleinfeld, and I don't remember it exactly, but the essence of it was, our founding fathers never intended only the judicial branch to deal with the great questions, the big questions, the important questions, and for the legislative branch to deal with trivia. That was not the intention of the founding fathers. The legislative branch has every right and power and authority to also answer some of these great important questions. And so yes, it's very much a separation of powers issue. Another really interesting thing about it, in many of the rulings, it's been based on the right to privacy that is in our Constitution. And as we did a little historic research on the right to privacy, which passed, was it in 1970? 1972, wondering why they passed it. Roe versus Wade was 1973. And so you thought, well, maybe it was connected, but actually it wasn't. What was happening was the Department of Public Safety was developing a criminal history database, and the public was getting concerned. It was the dawn of the computer era, and there was concern that Big Brother might be collecting information, data on us. It was the first concern, what we've referred to these days as data mining. And so in this building, that resolution for right to privacy was well received in the House and the Senate to take care of that, and to make sure that private information, confidential information, wouldn't be out there and be used in that kind of way. So it was for that reason, and had nothing to do with abortion, that was passed. And of course, these resolutions, by the way, we passed them we can't adopt them and put them in the Constitution. We can only pass the resolution, and then it goes before the voters. So it's just step one in the process to pass a resolution in here to make a proposal for a constitutional amendment, and then it goes on the ballot and the people decide. So, yeah.
All right, and we got two other pieces of legislation here that actually I can probably speak to pretty quick.
Go for it.
So,
go for it.
SB 81, our cooperative kind of update bill, our good housekeeping bill, I believe 2 weeks ago, passed unanimously through the Senate, and now we've got it off in the House, and we're hoping to try to, right now, certainly with the disease panic, it's kind of hard to bring up bills that aren't, immediately relating to the budget.
But interestingly, that bill, it brings the co-ops in. This is for like electric and telephone, like we have in our area. It actually allows them to conduct business and hold meetings electronically, whether through, what do you call it, teleconference, or like Zoom or one of those programs, Skype. So it actually is somewhat related, right? Because of this need to social distance, to be able to have those kind of updates in our statute is just makes more efficient business and more member engagement. So
yeah, there's really some exciting stuff in there about.
And Dawson worked on that bill, and it passed unanimously. And so now it has been. Where is the bill right now? It's over
currently in House Labor and Commerce. House
Labor and Commerce. So we're hoping to get a hearing. And if you think that's a good bill, you can let Representative Ida Sponholz know, and maybe we can get a hearing soon on that. And what's our other bill?
The other bill, which we just put in our calendaring request for to be heard on the floor, is SB 113, which is a bill that helps us acknowledge nationally board certified teachers, an extremely high bar teaching standard, and it's a bill that we're really excited about here because it gives a certain type of acknowledgement. Very simple, zero fiscal note bill, but a very exciting bill, and so hopefully we'll be able to get that to the floor soon and vote on it.
So the teachers that would go to the extra effort to become nationally board certified, which is a pretty rigorous process, and studies have shown that teachers that do that and become nationally board certified, their students have better outcomes, and that's what everything is all about. When I think about education and my work on the education committee is how can we help our students, because many of you know we have very dismal results as far as student outcomes, at least statewide when it's all pulled together. We know there are pockets of excellence everywhere, and there's some phenomenal things happening, so I don't want to disregard that. But overall, we've got a problem, and the high quality teachers really can make a difference in a student's life. And so it would allow these teachers to be public in knowledge, like listed on a website or on the wall in the school, to get recognition and hopefully motivate other teachers to join the ranks and also become nationally board certified. And we have for those that have been interested in hemp, that bill passed the Senate, and it did not pass the Senate, sorry. I'm really looking ahead and just saying it's going to pass, because I think it will be unanimous. But it's sitting in Senate Finance, and we need to get a hearing. But it's important that it pass, because for there to be interstate commerce after October, we have to update it and align it with the federal farm bill that passed in 2018. So we are looking forward to getting a hearing for that one too, hopefully. So if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to contact Senator Von Imhoff's office. She decides on what gets scheduled, and we understand from the Division of Ag there's more inquiries on that particular crop than there has been on any other single crop since in their recent memory, at least.
Okay, so for sake of time, I'm going to do some shout outs, and then
okay, sure.
There's another coronavirus question that we can go over quick to sort of finish things off. So Joanne Truitt is watching.
Hi, Joanne.
Roger Branson.
Hi, Roger.
Michelle Shower.
Hey, Michelle.
Sarah Rasmussen.
Oh, Sarah, Representative Rasmussen. Greetings. You should come down. You should, if you're in the building, come down to room 30, and you can come join me.
And then Rep Sharon Jackson is watching too.
Oh, same thing to Rep Jackson. If you're in the building, come on down to the ground floor.
So sort of to finish things off, there is some concern about the stocking of goods in stores and shipments. I don't know I know the governor during his briefing today said that they don't believe there's going to be any kind of breaks in our supply line, but I don't know if you have anything to speak to about that.
Well, I was actually speaking and communicating with the transportation chair, Senator Costello, this weekend about that, the movement of goods, and of course we want to make sure that they keep flowing. It is a bit of a triple whammy, and that's why we need to keep our spirits up because of what happened with oil prices, which is separate from COVID-19, right? But very, very integral to our economy. The other top two things are tourism and fisheries. And so bit of a triple whammy right now, but we're going to hold together. We're going to get through this. And I was in the store too, and I noticed there was no Kleenex. I really wanted some Kleenex. And I called up my sister who lives here in town, and she was able to get some, and she wasn't sure, she was going to maybe sell me a box for $50, right? So, but we hope that things keep coming from Seattle. I think it's going to be interesting times, and perhaps we will have to help one another and make sure that we share what we've got. with one another and our neighbors, and good time to bond with people maybe you just see in passing on an occasional basis. But yeah, the movement of goods is something I question, and if we find out information, but again, breathe deeply. Well, I would say I'd much rather, if there's any kind of shortage, I'd rather live in Alaska than a concrete jungle in the middle of New York City. I mean, you know, we have our fish, we have people, we hunt here. I mean, we can, you know, there was one period where when I was very young, I was about your age, Dawson, where I lived, where we were trying to live as subsistence as we could, and if I needed to do it again, I could do it again, right? So it's all going to be good. I think we're in the best place on the planet as far as getting through this right here in Alaska.
And that actually reminds me of some leave I saw on the Seniors of Palmer support group page, which is that what we really need to be spreading right now is compassion on another in the state. Absolutely.
Compassion and kindness. Yes, and yeah, incorporate humor, take time to get to know people, enjoy your children, and you know, you're with your children, and you know, hug them. The social distancing I don't think it goes with parents and children. You need those hugs. And I will say, I did a post on Saturday. It was kind of tough because my dad, he's actually my stepdad, is in a post-acute center here in Juneau, and we were being screened, having to wear face masks, getting our temperature taken. They'd limited visitation to only family members. And then on Saturday, we were informed that they were not allowing any visitors. So I've been FaceTiming with him, and you know, he has some limitations, and just phone calls. And we realize he's on the ground floor and he has a window, and it's kind of back behind the building, but we're going to see maybe if we can go wave to him through the window. But you know, think about, reach out. It's a nice time to write cards to those, maybe at the Pioneer Home. And you know, maybe there'll be ways too that people can wave through the windows. That's it's a one-story building, and but that human connection is important to everyone's well-being, and we're going to have to be creative how we have that human connection.
All right, that's all for me.
Okay, so we covered a lot of stuff. I don't have a clock where we're sitting here. So what are we at time?
We passed time, but I think the conversation was going good, so I just let it keep going.
Okay, yeah. And thank you everyone for joining us. And you know, I'm a person of faith, so I'm going to be praying for all of you, and for our community, for our area, for our state, and for our country, and actually even the interaction around nations. And these are my miracle flowers, since we're talking about, we showed you these last week. Lisa, are these like 3 weeks old?
Third, yeah.
We just can't believe these. And you think if you touch them, everything would fall off, but stuff is not falling off. Look at that. So these little miracle flowers are a symbol. I'm going to proclaim they're a symbol that we're going to get through this, and we're going to hold strong. And thank you all for joining us, and I'll be praying for all of you, and we appreciate you coming on board, and also remember to like this video and share it. And with that, have a good one.